Hi, everyone. John Michael Coppola here, and welcome to the Chicago Theater Makers Podcast, where we chat with the actors, directors, choreographers, designers, producers, music directors, lyricists, playwrights, and all the artists who make the Chicago area theaters come alive. We're so excited to have you here with us today. But before we get started, we just want to remind you to please like, subscribe to, and share this podcast with your friends and colleagues who you think would appreciate the conversations we're having. We'd be so grateful for your support in this way so we can continue to bring these stories for years to come. Thanks again for being here, and now, curtain up on today's episode. Today's guest was born in the North Shore of Chicago and started her career as a dancer at New Trier High School. Since then, she has had a career spanning decades as an actress, singer, director, choreographer, and casting director. Her acclaimed school, the Performers School, was one of the first of its kind in the Chicagoland area, strictly geared towards the training of child theater makers. Her latest project, a Flaster Production, is another feather in her cap, where the shows they'll produce will exclusively feature college-ready teenagers. I hope you enjoy my conversation with Stacey Flaster. Now let's go to the top of the show. Hi, Stacey.
Hi, John.
How are you doing?
I'm great. So good to see you.
You as well. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Anytime.
So, as this is a Chicago Theater Makers podcast, it is our custom for me to ask all of our guests at the very top of the show a little bit about your background, a little bit about your training, and finally, what your first theater experience was.
Okay, so a little bit about my background. So I grew up, on the North Shore of Chicago.
Local girl.
So first thing, I grew up dancing very seriously, ballet, focusing on really strictly ballet. I went downtown after school every day, into the city, and took class until 8 p.m. or something. And I did that for a long time, till probably about seventh grade. And in seventh grade, I had this epiphany that I wanted to do jazz. I wanted to do more. I also was short, and I was told, back then everyone told you the truth, although maybe people tell you the truth now. We'll get to that later. It's another topic. Somebody told me that I was too short to be a prima ballerina. I wasn't good enough to be a prima ballerina. That's the first problem. But I kind of discouraged me, but in my mind, I thought I never wanted to be a prima ballerina. So that was at Interlochen National Music Camp, and I was a dance major there. And so I came back and I told my mom, we actually moved at the same time that I changed my interest. So there was this moment in my life where there was a turning point where I was living in one suburb and dancing, and sort of, it sounds terrible, I was kind of bullied, and I was a little bit of a nerd, I guess, but my true personality hadn't come out yet.
We all went through that, and we're similar age, so it was that time period of the 80s.
Totally. It was seventh grade. It was the worst year of my life. I was bullied, and we moved to another suburb, and I met these new friends, and I started branching out in dance, so this all came together. And then I did my first musical in eighth grade, but I did not sing. I just danced, and I did Bye Bye Birdie, and I was Sad Girl. And I was so happy. I loved it, but I was very timid. I still had that timid quality that was left over from my bullying days and my years where we lived in our old neighborhood. Mm-hmm. My new neighborhood, I ended up going to New Trier High School, which was the best experience of my life, besides everything else. And I absolutely loved it, and I really came into my own. I auditioned for something freshman year, and it was a student-run show called Lanyap, and I made it. And I did the show, but I did it as a dancer. And the next year I auditioned, and I didn't make it, and they told me it was because I wasn't a triple threat. So I said, okay, I'll figure out how to be a triple threat. Started taking voice, started working on acting, started doing other dance, and I auditioned my junior year, and I didn't make it again.
What?
So I joined the swim team. The swim team was a disaster. I almost drowned.
Wait, you almost drowned, but you knew how to swim, right?
I knew how to swim, but when it came to competitive swimming, I just couldn't breathe. I mean, it was just awful.
Yeah,
and my boyfriend was a swimmer, and I thought, oh, this is a good way to, kind of do something similar. But it didn't work out. It was terrible. Terrible, especially since I was swimming with my good friend whose father was an Olympic butterfly winner, gold medalist in the
Oh,
butterfly in the 70s. So anyway, cut to senior year where I ended up making it. I ended up playing junior year. I ended up playing Josie Pye and Anne of Green Gables. We did I think the North American premiere at New Trier. And then the following year, I did Adelaide and Guys and Dolls, and
oh.
that's when now some of your listeners might disagree with this, but my aunt, who I'm going to talk about a little later, came to the show and she goes, "You are better than Faith Prince."
That is quite the compliment.
I mean, you know what? I have to say, John, I don't really agree, but it was a really nice compliment. It gave me some really good feedback.
But in
So I
the
went,
in the eyes of our loved ones,
yeah, I mean, I was good.
that was their
I was good.
reality.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So, I ended up I ended up going to college and I didn't know what I wanted to do. There was no like, oh, I want to be a professional actor. I went to U of I as a dance major. I got a little scholarship. I did 4 years of dance there. Graduated with a BFA in dance. Only three of us graduated out of 20. Three of us were left. I was one of them. We graduated, and then my mom called me. She goes, "They're doing a production of West Side Story at Pheasant Run Dinner Theater. Do you want to audition over spring break or something?" I came home, I auditioned, I got cast. That was
Excellent.
my first job where I met all those people: Diana Martinez, Raina Larson, Sean Hayes
Wow.
music directed me, and I and Lara
Wow.
Phillip. I met so many people from my friend Daria Scatton, who's still my friend who lives in New York, and Lara Phillip, and all these people, Mary Monica Thomas, all these people I met, and that was my first experience, and I, of course, still friendly with a lot of them. Not Sean Hayes. I wish he would call me, but I mean, I love Sean. It was a wonderful experience. I did 6 months of that, back
Wow.
and forth between a shark and a jet. I ensemble shark, ensemble jet, ensemble shark, ensemble jet. And then it just kind of continued from there where I got cast at Drury Lane, I got cast at Marriott, and I started doing a lot of theater. And that's the beginning of my career. It accidentally happened. I never planned on doing it, but I'm like, well, I got to audition for that. And then I auditioned for that. And then
Yeah.
I became equity, so it was a process, but again, it wasn't a fully realized idea. It was just something that happened.
Yeah.
And then all the other stuff subsequently happened, which I should also say, going backward in time,
Yeah.
I saw Annie was my first musical and I fell asleep.
Oh.
But my second musical theater experience, which I saw on the same day that my mom forgot to tape Silver Spoons, I was in love with Ricky Schroeder. I'm not a Ricky Schroeder fan anymore.
Yeah. No.
No more, no Rick Schroeder.
Yeah.
That doesn't exactly agree with my morals and
Yeah.
my
Mm-hmm.
opinions, but I loved Rick Schroeder. I was so upset. I was crying on the way downtown to 42nd Street. We got there. The intro, the old picture starts,
Oh yeah.
curtain starts coming up, and I see these tap shoes,
Uh huh.
and I was blown away.
Oh my God.
This was, and I still remember the red curtain coming up and those tap shoes. And I was like, I looked at my mom, I said, "This is what I want to do."
That is fantastic.
But
And
it was,
what?
but
Yeah.
again, it didn't like plan to do it, but it ended up happening. I never did a production of 42nd Street, but I did do Crazy for You, which I'm going to talk about later in the podcast.
That is crazy to me. You've never done that show. It's
Never.
because you're like obviously perfect for it. I mean, perfect.
Yeah,
For a lot
well,
of
I
things. Yeah.
could. I'm not a great tapper,
Oh, okay.
but I fake it well. And I'm going to talk about that a little more into the podcast,
Yeah.
because I know you have a lot of terrific questions. Now, did I answer?
No, that you right on
Yeah.
the money. You gave us a
Yeah,
nice
tons
background.
of
Amazing.
voice. Yeah, tons of voice training. Tons of acting stuff. I did some stuff in college where I involved musical theater because U of I didn't have a musical theater department. So I had a mentor named Cindy Pipkin Doyle. If anybody knows Cindy, she was my mentor. And we would go, she would give me projects, like I choreographed in West Side Story at this theater called the Station Theater, and I played Anita, and I got to do that show, and it was wonderful. So I got a lot of like theater experience.
Yeah.
I also got a lot of experience in sweat lodges and peyote ceremonies, but that's all that's my teacher taught. Brought me to a
I don't think.
a
I don't think.
peyote ceremony.
I don't know what that is.
Just look at it. Just Google, as my dad would say, Google it when we're done.
Okay, I
I'm
sure
sure
will.
some of your listeners will know. But I was always looking for like spirituality, you know what I mean, and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
So
okay,
that was that. I did a
yeah.
national tour of Showboat, and I came back. It closed because Garth Drabinsky got in trouble, so that thing closed. And I came home from Showboat, and I got married to somebody, and then divorced. So that all happened, but I just kept staying here. I auditioned for Showboat probably 4 times, and the final time I auditioned, I didn't get cast immediately, but I got cast almost immediately after it. And I went, and I did the last part of the tour,
Okay.
the last 4 months of the tour, and I was planning on being on tour for a year, and it just ended.
Mm.
And I got used to I got very used to the swinging, and then
Right.
it was over.
Mm.
Tom Bosley played Captain Andy when I did it.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, so
Nice to
we had like
see.
a little, yeah, it was cute. He's from the same town I'm from, so we had a lot of like talk and,
He's from Illinois? I didn't know that.
yeah,
Huh.
yeah, and he is a Jew. So we had a lot of conversations about, I went into his dressing room because he wanted to practice kissing. Because
Oh,
I was going on for one of these girls. I can't remember what they were called. Not silly sisters, something, where we were with him at a bar and we were giggling and we had to kiss him and he wanted to practice that, which, probably nowadays is a little weird, but
I bet he
Tom
did.
Bosley's a wonderful person and
In his dressing room.
I never felt threatened. So don't worry, anybody. Nothing happened.
Oh my gosh, that
He's
is
wonderful.
amazing.
So
Amazing.
so yeah, that's my trajectory. I came back here and did more stuff,
Yeah, yeah. So then, how did you wind up becoming a casting director? Tell me about that transition.
Oh gosh. Okay, so I did a ton of shows leading up to 2005.
Okay.
In 2005, I decided I got married a second time and wanted to have kids and stuff, so I started directing and choreographing. And that kind of then I became sort of I became a professional director and choreographer, one or the other. And
And I didn't mean to gloss over that. We'll talk about that too. But the
yeah,
casting.
no, we can. I want to get into the casting thing. So when I've
Yeah.
cast for you, as well for your group, me and my friend Kyle Dugan, were working together a lot, collaborating, and we came up with this idea to do because nobody does theatrical casting.
Mm.
So we called it Style, Stacey and Kyle, Style Theatrical Casting. And we did a bunch of shows. We did a show called Signs of Life, which was about the Terezin ghetto.
I did the reading of that of After You
Oh, you
Garden
did the
Theater.
reading of that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That I did a show about, oh gosh, my gosh. What was that show called? It began with a D. It was about the comedian. I can't think of anything right now.
That's okay.
I'll come up with it later.
That's okay.
So I did this show, and then I cast a show called Shout, which was at the Water Tower, and I cast I Love Lucy live.
Yes, that I auditioned for as well a couple times. Yeah.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I didn't get it, but that's okay.
Well, I'm sorry. You were so good, and you could have absolutely gotten it.
Stop. That wasn't meant to be egg you on for a compliment, but yeah. But what a fun project that is, and I know a lot of people who went out on that tour and had the best time with it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really fun, and I enjoyed meeting all these people, and kind of getting to know people on the other side of it. Being a casting you're not the director, you're not you're a casting director.
Yeah.
So you really have to know the talent, and I felt at that time Kyle and I really knew the musical theater talent. For me, I really do have a good knack for detecting talent, in adults or kids, and I work, as work with kids a lot. So I'm really connected to, just the process, the audition process, when people come in. I've just done so much casting. I also helped court theater for a while with casting. Like when Cree Rankin was there, he was a good friend of mine, is a good friend of mine. And Cree hired me, and I got to cast a bunch of shows with them. I worked on Secret Garden for them. I worked on All My Sons, I want to say. and a couple other things. I worked on Guys and Dolls there. So I really got to know some different people, some different directors, got to watch Charlie Newell at work, which was interesting and exciting. So yeah, that was my casting. And then it kind of fell off because Kyle moved to North Carolina and we kind of fell off that. But I still do a lot of casting. For example, you called upon me and I helped you cast your show.
Yeah. Which I have
So
to say, it was such a huge help because it was my first time having an audition for the group or an audition on any kind that for a project that I was involved in. So
right.
I didn't know, not that I didn't know you got to put out audition notices, but there was so much admin stuff that you and your assistant,
It was Michael Gillis.
Michael.
Yeah.
That the two of you like just handled that made it so stress free, and I just had to walk in and choose people.
That's what you want somebody to do.
It really was such a huge learning experience and such a huge weight off my shoulders that I didn't have to do that.
Yeah, and then you knew the ropes from there, and you could just cast. You had a lot of people that you could work with.
To this day, I'm still using guys from that file.
I love that.
Yeah, I mean,
love
and
that.
sometimes it's more personal referral because some of the guys have moved on from performing or moved out of town. But largely, a lot of the guys I have still in the group to this day, and we're talking.
How many years is it? 6 or 7?
I think 2018 was when we had the auditions.
Oh wow, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, and they're still with me. So I'm grateful.
Wow, I'm so happy.
Yeah, me
too.
too.
Thank you.
Me too. Thank you.
The casting company has no name. It was just me.
Yeah.
Flaster Casting. Flaster Caster. Flaster the caster. And I love Michael Gillis, and I don't know where he's at now. He went to China or something to play the Phantom.
Yeah, he was for a while.
He's
like
a wonderful
world tour.
actor.
Yeah.
They have a kid now.
Crazy.
So anyway, they might even have 2 kids for all I know. I don't know, but I should get in touch with him. I'll think about that later.
Yeah. So then also let's talk a bit about the directing and choreography. So we kind of glossed over that. So what are some of your more favorite projects that you worked on? What are maybe some things you learned during that time? Give us any thought you want to throw in there about your time as a director choreographer.
Okay, so I want to say that Ragtime that I did for Music Theater Works in 2021 was probably my best experience in terms of just the artistic quality, in terms of just the cast, just everything about it. I worked really closely with my set designer. We spent hours and hours and hours with a model working through stuff and getting the show to be a place where I really wanted the show to feel good. There's a lot that I have to say about this, so I'm going to be very careful. I was worried about directing the show because it was right after 2020 and there was just a lot of fuel and a lot of stuff surrounding it. And I was concerned, and I talked to Satirius, is my set designer, and I talked to him about my fear in coming in and people accepting me as the director of Ragtime. And he said, don't think about the show, feel the show. And I was like, and I've ever since then, it's how I approach everything. But he's like, just let's feel it. Let's talk about how it feels. And so when I went in for my speech the first day, I told everybody, I was really honest. And I said, I don't know everything about everything. I don't know everybody's experience. I don't know everybody's experience with racism and anti-Semitism or whatever experience people were having in the room. I don't claim to know any of that, but I'm also not cutting anything. I'm not cutting anything out of the show because it's a masterpiece and it needs to be shown. People need to see it, and they need to see what it is, because if you don't, then there's no show. There needs to be stakes. If there's no stakes, if you whitewash it and whittle it down, and when I say whitewash, I mean just take away all the negative stuff and all the things that might offend the audience.
Yeah.
You are not doing the audience is important, but the show, you can't direct the show for the audience, or you're going to fail.
Yeah.
You have to direct the show for the actors and the cast. And I said, if this show ends up only being good for us in this room, that will be a success for me. If
Mm.
it comes outside of that and it ends up being wonderful for everyone else, then we've really done our job.
Yeah.
I had a wonderful relationship with everybody. It was, it was all non-equity, but I mean, I'm sure everybody's equity now, but the cast was top notch, magnificent, and there's nobody I would have cast over somebody else. Everybody in my mind was absolutely right at that time for the show. I wanted
It
it to
was a
last
beautiful show.
forever.
It was one of my favorites to date, and it didn't hurt that it was only 5 minutes from my house. But truly, it was across the board just a gorgeous show. The talent was across the board phenomenal. Like the soloist for the end of Act One, I was like, my jaw hit the floor when they started.
Well, that
singing.
was, I said to people, first of all, that moment, we had so many conversations because openly and really like bearing my soul.
Yeah.
I really wanted that moment to be about the African American community and not about everyone else.
Right.
Because it was their loss and their moment. Not that it wasn't everyone's loss, it was.
Right.
But when Sarah is killed, they need to have the stage. They need to have the moment. And the other people almost need to step aside.
Absolutely.
And allow that to happen. And that is why that was so powerful. And everyone was on board. So, I mean, I really didn't do anything that people didn't feel good about. So that's why in the show at the edge, the ending was, usually, Cole House Jr., little boy runs out into the arms of mother, and right. we all agreed that just felt very white savior and not appropriate. And we wanted it to be about like the community, everybody, and Sarah and Cole House. So I we really worked on making it cohesive in terms of honoring everybody's experience, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that it was going to turn out that way. I had all these ideas. But again, I approached it for how I wanted the audience to feel and how I wanted to feel and how I wanted the actors to feel. So that's the first show.
Yeah.
The second show that had a huge impact on me was when I did a class act for Porchlight Theater. It did win the Jeff Award, and my actor won the Jeff Award for playing Ed Kleban. Wonderful actors in that show. Becky Menzie was the musical director. I had just a wonderful staff of people that helped me and creating this show. Lonnie Price came to town and he loved it.
Fun.
And I should also say, can I run and show you something? Can I get something to show you?
Yeah, please do.
Will it be an interruption if I show you something?
Not at all.
Let me go grab something. I want
Okay.
to show you. Okay, I have some props here. So.
Oh, fun.
I'm going to show it to you in a minute. But a class act was one of my favorite experiences of my lifetime. It was just so spiritual for me. The whole thing, and being obviously being in Chorus Line and knowing Chorus Line and Michael Bennett and all that, it just was really really awesome.
Yeah.
But I forgot to tell you that.
And it's a good show. I wish people produced it more.
I loved working on it, and we had all of his sheet music was the set on the walls, and Becky was on stage at a grand piano, and I just really was proud of it. I was so proud of it because I really redid. I mean, I created the show.
Yeah.
I watched. I might have watched a bootleg. I don't remember, or a clip, but our show was totally different, and Lonnie loved it, and so it was really a success. So wanted to show you this, which is hard for you to see.
Yeah.
But I'm going to read it. During ragtime, one of the actors was next door at the steakhouse and saw Brian Stokes Mitchell there, the original Cole House. So he sees Brian Stokes Mitchell and he goes over. I don't remember who saw Brian, and said, "We're doing ragtime next door." He was there for a concert. He was just randomly there.
Crazy.
We're doing ragtime next door, and he said he wanted to come. So he came for Act One. I was so thrilled, okay? And his letter says, "Dear Music Theater Works Ragtime Company, I had an opportunity to see some of your production tonight. Unfortunately, I could not stay for the entire show because I have a matinee tomorrow and an early rehearsal. I just want to say congratulations to you all for a wonderful production. To this day, Ragtime is the most magical show I have ever done. I would imagine that each of you probably feel the same way now that you are doing it too. Keep putting your magic into the world. The world really needs it, and you right now. Have a great rest of your run and continue to make them hear you. All the best, Brian Stokes Mitchell.
Wow. That is incredible.
So that I just wanted you to see that, because that was, a couple things, him coming to see it and being in the audience, knowing that he was in the audience, to me was like chilling. Like I was so happy.
Yeah.
And I knew the show, I was proud of the show. I don't think I could have ever been sick of that. I just loved it. And now I'm going to pivot a second and
please.
tell you some things that I've enjoyed I've worked with children now for probably 13 years exclusively. I mean, I've done some professional work here and there. I'll just do whatever. If somebody calls me, I'm not like seeking work or anything. I guess I'm available. I'm not seeking work, but I will take work if it works out.
Sure.
Things that I really, really want to do, or people that I really want to work with,
Yeah.
I'm not driven by the money, but I'm in all unions. Right. So I really like to work that way.
Yeah.
But when I work with my students, it's obviously not there's no union jurisdiction. So I can do anything. Some of the best shows that I've ever done with my students at the Performers School were A Chorus Line, Chicago. I did 13 twice. And A Chorus Line, Chicago, 13. There was another, and Mean Girls. So, I've done, let's say, 2 a year I've directed for 13 years. So do the math. I think I've directed for Performers School maybe 40 shows. So I've done tons of shows with kids. I've done Cats to Chorus Line to all these shows. And then I directed, and I want to mention this, a production of Mean Girls at Glenbrook South High School 2 years ago with about 90 kids.
Oh my God.
Double casting all of the plastics, Katie, Aaron, and a few others. A few others were double cast, like the principal and the teacher and stuff. This show with a full orchestra. Aaron Kaplan has this orchestra, and it was the kids that did that one. Aaron has an orchestra that did Les Mis that I did last summer. His orchestra was brilliant, huge orchestra. It was so good. So those are the things that stick out. Ragtime, a class act, my shows with my students, especially the ones my daughter was in, and the production of Mean Girls that I did at the high school.
I want to go back to the Performance School, because this is something you're like one of the, in my mind, like one of the, say, OGs teaching kids in this area to do what we do. So was it something that somebody said, hey, you should do this? Or was this your own brainchild? Like, how did that come about?
That's so funny, John. So I was directing, I think, I was directing at Theater at the Center a ton. I would go there. I think I directed 10 shows there and choreographed a few too. So I was directing there, and Liz Fauntleroy and I have been friends for years and years and years. We did shows together at Marriott and stuff. So Liz called me one day. I'll never forget. I was standing in my kitchen. She said, I hear you're doing some coaching. I was doing like a little bit of private coaching. I don't even know how. I don't remember the first thing I did or how it happened, but I was doing it, and she called me, and she's a voice teacher, and she said, do you want to, some of these students? And we started talking again. I'm not sure, it was 2010, 2011 maybe, or 12, something in there, because we started in 2013. We started doing some workshops, audition workshops, that we called it the Musical Theater Toolkit. And Liz and I we would have an accompanist. We'd give feedback on your audition. You do it again. Then we give constructive feedback from the crowd. And then we did some dance workshops. Amber Mack did one, and we had people coming in and doing them. And then I said to her, do you want to open a school? She was like, what do you mean? I'm like, I don't know, like not a school, but like a musical theater school for kids, like something that kids can do in middle school. I don't remember the wording.
Sure.
But she was like, sure. So I did some research. I found the Skokie Theater. I found the rec center to rehearse at. I found an accompanist. I found I made a logo, and then this thing just sort of kept evolving. We met with Sam Samuelson, who's on our board, for some advice, and he said you need to do a group that's exclusive. You need to do something that they have to audition for. So the ensemble was born. The ensemble is started as 5th through 8th grade. Now it's 6th through 8th grade. It's audition only. They come in, they do 2 bar cuts. We have a live accompanist, and then we cast them in the group. The group is a year-long process with 2 shows, one in the winter, one in the spring. And our first year, we had, I think, 25 or 30 kids, and we did Joseph and 13 the second semester. So that was our first year. It was really gangbusters, and then it just kept building and building. Sometimes we have 75 kids auditioning.
Wow.
So now we're in our 12th year. I think we're in our 12th year. We just had a 10-year alumni concert a couple years ago. My students that I started with have graduated college.
Wow.
I have some students in New York. I have students, working all over the place. One of my, I do want to say this. I directed Secret Garden when it was Light Opera Works years ago.
Yeah. And
Sophie Thatcher, who's now famous, she's on Yellow Jackets. She was in one of the Star Wars. She was in a movie called, she's in a ton of film and now in TV.
Okay.
Her name's Sophie Thatcher, and she played Mary in Secret Garden. Then she did a couple, and then I referred her to the court for a couple things, and then she became famous. So she's, I'm still, in touch with her, but she's my one kind of famous kid. And then I have kids, working everywhere. So it's really nice. But that isn't even, the goal is really to make kids feel comfortable performing in front of people, auditioning, confident, prepared, and that's really that's the first step, Mm-hmm. So the fact that anyone is doing it outside of, they're all going to school for musical theater, and, it's just really nice to see where it's gone for people, how it's, gone for people. Yes, you said I was the OG. It was really sort of, it just happened sort of serendipitously. You know what I mean? It just kept going, just like everything else.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we have a school, and then we're doing shows, and then we have a season, and then, and we have, hundreds and hundreds of people have gone, maybe thousands have gone through the school. And now we have a troupe, which is 3rd through 5th grade, directed by a woman named Lisa Pagowski-Sobelman, and that's her group. And she directs 2 shows a year with them. And I direct 2 shows a year with Liz. Liz is the music director, and I'm the director.
Okay.
And Dina DeCostanza is our choreographer.
I know Dina.
And Christina Rather is the other choreographer, and sometimes Mandy Modick.
Okay.
And, we have a team. We have a stage manager, a production manager, a business manager, an accountant. We have, a team of people, and it's a thing, and it's been, listen, again, it's known now to be sort of like a top-level, top-notch place. I don't consider myself a teacher. I really am a director and a coach. Like, I teach my things, but I'm not an acting teacher. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
And it's not something I could probably do it. I could teach dance to anybody. I could teach ballet, but I don't want to teach dance.
Yeah.
So I really consider myself a producer, a director, and a coach, and a choreographer.
Now, out of all of those titles, which do you prefer?
Director.
Yeah? Why that one?
I love directing. I love conceptualizing. I love working on stuff and collaborating with people. I love the process of directing. I have like a system now with myself, Yeah. I write all over my books. I don't use anything electronic. I use paper. I can't do that stuff. I can't do spreadsheets and stuff. I try.
Yeah.
I'm working on being a little more streamlined with the computer.
Yeah. Well,
you know what I mean?
You made it digitally onto the podcast today, so I applaud you.
I did make it onto the podcast.
Yes.
I downloaded the app. I'm not as bad, I just really like the tangible thing that I can write and then cross it out and write again and highlight with this color and all over the place. My prop list is on a napkin.
My wife is the same way. She's very analog. She likes to write down, highlight, cross things out. I'm there for you. Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. Now, is the second troupe, I recently saw a post about a Flaster Production. Is
okay.
Is that the same thing as the performance school? Is it an offshoot?
That's a great question. Wait, I'm going to show you something. Hang on.
Okay.
I have another piece of visual aid for your audience who is very excited, I'm sure, about this. This is my logo for a Flaster Production. Can you see it?
I see it. Yes.
And this is the logo for the performer school up here, which is like a tree with a tree with hands, and it's the branches have stars in them, and our phrase is "we grow stars." The Flaster Production is something I recently did.
Yeah.
I created an LLC, and I'm the sole proprietor. A Flaster Production is going to feature high school and college kids. I intend to do full-scale productions starting next year. I don't know where yet, but I've done one gig. I did a cabaret, and I had it videotaped at Skokie Theater with some of my top-level talent. Now, just so the audience knows, this isn't the only group of talented kids. There are so many out there. Mm-hmm. So remember, if your kid worked with me, I love them, and I think they're top-notch. But I picked a group of like 16 kids, and we did this cabaret. I had a drummer and a pianist, and I did this sort of cabaret with different music and made it flow, and it was fully staged, and it was great. It was my first foray to introduce like the industry to my company. It's still in process of being introduced. I have not blasted about it. I'm not talking about it. I'm not trying to get buzz. I'm still in the early stages of creating my website and deciding what direction and what it means and what it is so that people get it, Yeah. And I'm working with a PR team called Lark, Bianca, Holly, and Whitney, my 3 favorite people, besides all my other favorite people. I don't want to leave anyone out. You got to be careful on these things.
Yeah.
But they're the wonderful team that I hired, and they helped me put the whole thing together. So a Flaster Production is still in the works, but it does exist, and it will be something that hopefully will be a big deal soon.
Cool. I'm looking forward to it. Particularly,
I want to corner the market on like theater for older kids so that they get a professional experience.
Well, not necessarily corner the market. It's where else does that really exist here? I mean, it doesn't.
No.
That's sort of how these things are born. I mean, even my group, we did one. We actually just celebrated our 12-year anniversary yesterday, August 3rd. And I always sort of forget about it every year until I see our very first client post about their wedding anniversary on social media. I'm like, oh my God, today is our anniversary too. And we started with one gig. It was a 30-minute set for a bride who wanted a Frankie Valli tribute at her wedding to track music. And I cobbled together some friends of mine who I'd worked with in Chicago theater, and I was like, hey, you want to do this gig? They said, sure. And then within 3 weeks, inquiries for the same exact type of entertainment request came into my sphere. Like, people reached out to me to say, hey, I'm looking for this. I'm like, yeah, I could do that. And it was literally, it hadn't been created yet. We hadn't sung a note yet. And I kept texting the guy saying, hey, are you available this date? Are you available this date? And they'd say, I thought you said it would be a one-off. And I said, yeah, I thought it would be a one-off.
Yeah.
And by the end of that year, we did 12 gigs between August and the end of the year, including a New Year's Eve gig that we booked in Peoria, Illinois, that was piggybacked off of an anniversary party we did at a country club there. And after we did our little stint at the anniversary party, the manager of the country club pulled me aside and said, what are you guys doing on New Year's? And I said, we don't have any bookings yet. Why? He said, I just had a great idea. I want to do a full night of food and entertainment and have you guys do mini musical sets in between dinner courses while we prep the next course. And I thought, yeah, that's great. And then I said, well, we're from Chicago. We're going to need hotel rooms. He said, yeah, I'll take care of all of that. Bring your wives. Like, you could bring guests. So it was so January 1, the shingle went up, as they say, and the website went up. And that's kind of how these things happen. If it doesn't exist, you're filling that void. It's kind of like Shark Tank, right? They always say, like, what's the problem that you're solving? And not that these are big problems, but if it doesn't exist, kind of why I started the podcast too. I was sitting around, I just finished a job transition, and I was like, I was listening to a lot of podcasts, just not theater adjacent at all.
Yeah, yeah.
And I thought, why doesn't Chicago have a theater makers podcast? And so
I think it's fabulous.
here we are. So
I think it's fabulous. I'll do
you.
anything you want me to do. I love talking about just about it. You know what I mean? With people that like to talk about it.
For sure. Well, my hat off to you to for taking the reins on exactly filling the void of training kids for theater. I mean, it doesn't exist outside of high schools.
I know. And I just have too many kids that I've worked with up to 8th grade that I just can't let go of. And, you know, when I say I'm close with these kids, I have such a bond, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because of the vulnerability, but they feel safe at the performers school. They come back to visit. It is truly a magical place. We're in a rec center room with, I have to say, Ivan Tassi, who's Ivan is his name. I call him Ivan, but his name's Ivan Tassi. He created the room for me. He got the floor in. He got some mirrors. He has the shades that come down if we don't want the mirrors shown. It's a very nice space.
Where is this?
In Highwood.
Oh, sure. I know that is.
Next to Tala Coffee.
Okay.
So we do it there in the multi-purpose room, and this is where we've been rehearsing for the entire performer school. It's where everybody wants to go. They want to come back to it. You know, sometimes it smells like diapers. Sometimes it smells like old food. Sometimes it smells like crappy cleaning shit. Can I swear on this podcast?
Yeah. We're R-rated.
And it is. Whenever I walk in, it's so nostalgic. Even though I'm still working there, but to feel the energy of all these people have come through there and taught there for us. We did workshops with people from the Matilda National Tour, the Lion King National Tour, Hamilton. We brought people in. We brought in Abby Mueller to do a workshop for a couple days.
Oh, wow.
She sang songs from Beautiful. You know, we've done so many like really wonderful, fun things. And even during 2020, Lisa helped us. She was very instrumental in helping us streamline and pivot to a online situation. We produced Les Miserables.
Oh, I remember that.
Beauty and the Beast, one at a time. Peter Marston Sullivan from Marriott.
Yeah.
He filmed it with Peter Roble. They together created, what I would do is give him the blocking. I mean, who knows if he even listened to it, but he's like, I know Stacey's brain. My brain works. It's all over the place, but I know what I want.
Yeah.
So we got that show, and the show it was seamless. It was not choppy.
Right.
We did a movie. So
I remember seeing the clips, and I was blown away by the background animation and the AI. I was really blown away.
It was really wonderful. And it really helped us maintain. We didn't lose any students. We didn't lose anything. And by the time we got back to doing things in person, we were back. And wow. It was just a really good experience for everybody. Now, we didn't get to actually see each other, and some of the voices got changed around accidentally. Like the wrong Cosette was on and the wrong Gavroche. But everything got handled and fixed, and it was just it was a really great experience for everybody involved. So we have that in our repertoire.
And God forbid it ever happens again. You can go back, which we all hope it doesn't happen. So in all of your experiences, I'm curious to know for our listeners what kind of lessons, what important lessons have you learned throughout your career?
Okay, I have a lot of them.
Shoot.
The first one is, and my mom told me this. My mom and my aunt were both in theater. And she said... You
mentioned your aunt earlier. You said you were going to go back to that.
Yeah, my Aunt Terry, who passed a couple of years ago, was one of my sort of mentors and advised me on so many things and choreography and just somebody that I had in my life that was, my mom, my aunt, it's just the three of us. We'd choreograph together sometimes. In the mirror, we'd all be doing the same thing, But my mom told me, treat everyone that this is a very good lesson for anybody, but kids nowadays, they don't really relate the way we did. But you got to treat everybody that works on the staff kindly. Mm-hmm. Do not tell the costumer notes during the show. Don't come up to me and tell me you don't like your costume. So I really, I learned my lesson when I was working at the Marriott. I mean, I was always nice to everybody. I would go visit the costume shop at the Marriott to visit B, the one who made all my costumes for Hello Dolly, and I loved, the people in the costume room, and I was always friends with the tech people. So
Mm-hmm.
I never had this issue. But I went up to Nancy Massimi, who I love, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So, Nance, if you remember the story, if you hear this, I remember it. We were doing Singing in the Rain at Marriott. And I went up to her and I had a complaint about something in my costume. Maybe it was too long. I got chewed out. Do not ever come up to me during tech. And I thought, okay, good lesson. So, you know what? You got to treat everybody with respect. You never know where they're going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone that I worked with is a bigwig. I mean, think about it. Everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone. So that's one lesson. My mom told me a lot of stuff, so you'll hear this a lot. When you're a director, she said, don't hang out with the actors at lunch. Don't do it. Let them have their time. Let them bitch about stuff. Let them do whatever.
Mm.
Don't sit with them. Don't talk to them. Don't, just let them, be separate from them. You can go to the cast party, but let them have their lunch break. You go have your lunch break. So that was another rule, because you don't want to hear them complaining. It's just, they need their break,
Yeah. Yeah.
Another thing, and I tell students this all the time, do not compare yourself to anybody. You are not on their journey. You don't know what their experience is.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know how they audition. You don't know what they're going to do. You are your own individual person. You stay on your path, stay in your lane, and it's hard because all these things are hard, but it's really important, be prepared for every audition. Make choices. They might not be the choice of the director, but you might give them some new information, but if a director sees choices, they know that you have been working on it, because when you are prepared and you've made choices and everything is, in your subconscious, the lines, everything, then you can adjust when somebody says try it differently. But if you're too locked into what you're doing all the time, your idea, what you're doing, you're not going to be able to change it up. Yeah. And I see a lot of people in auditions that are on automatic pilot. I'm here for my audition. Oh, they just asked me a question. Oh, I don't know what to say. Oh my gosh. You got to just be a human being, ask your question or answer the questions. Then, when you're ready, take your deep breath, take your time, not mine. Mm-hmm. Take your time at your audition. It is your moment. It's your time.
Yeah. Love that.
Those are some lessons. I had to write those down because I do, I had my notes here. So
that's okay. No,
as you know, on paper, but I'm sure I have more, but those are some of them.
And anything you want to cover on the podcast before we start winding down, or?
Okay. Well, I can't believe we're winding down. I feel like I just got on the phone with you. So also one more thing.
Yeah.
We sometimes model our auditions after what we think they want to see.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what they want to see. What they want to see is none of your business. Mm-hmm. Worry about what you want to show, not what they want to see. Mm-hmm. You can't, if you try to please other people, you're never going to have a symbiotic relationship. You know what I mean? You're going to try, you need to please yourself.
Yeah.
Because you don't ever know. So that is a really big thing, especially with kids. It's like, they're like, oh, last time Stacey cast this person because she did that. So that means I got to do that. No, it doesn't. Because I don't even remember what I did. And I have a final thing that I'm going to say about this.
Please do.
I don't give feedback to actors after auditions. People say, can I have feedback? And I say, no. I'm not giving you feedback for this reason. I don't want you to be paranoid next time you audition for me or anybody else. And I don't remember every detail of your audition, and I'm afraid I'd make something up. Everybody, all I will say to people is make sure you're prepared. Other than that, there's nothing you can do. Giving people feedback on an audition after it's over is not helpful at all for a person, because then it's just locked in. Oh, Stacey said that I was flat and that I wasn't supporting the notes, and I, and she said that, it didn't seem like I was in the moment with my scene and my eye contact. It's like, what am I going to do? Give people all this criticism?
Yeah.
The reason you didn't make it is not because of your audition necessarily. It's a lot of factors.
Yeah.
But Then I'll say to people, if you want feedback, and this is not for money purposes, come over, let's do a coaching and work on what you presented to me, and then let's talk through it and work through it. That's what I will do with people. But I don't want to give anybody shitty feedback. Never helps, makes them paranoid, and it's bad. So that's one of my rules. A lot of people disagree with me, and that's fine. There's different strokes for different folks.
Yeah.
Another thing I want to cover is that there were some shows that I hated, and I'm going to tell you what they were.
That you were a part of, or just out in the world?
That I was in.
Okay, shoot.
And you know what? Strike me dead for saying it out loud.
No.
But I hated being in the Wizard of Oz at Chicago Shakes wearing that funny little people costume. I fell in the aisle. I couldn't get up. I was rolling around. I hated having that thing on. I hated it. So that might have been my least favorite experience. As an actor, I loved being in I Love You're Perfect Now Change. It was me and Rachel Rockwell, may she rest in peace.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Thad Avery and a guy named Chris Petchler, and I was woman 1 and Rachel was woman 2. And that was one of the best experiences of my life as an actor. It also occurred right around September 11th, so it was a very interesting time. So I loved that. I did that at Theater at the Center. I ended up replacing somebody in Crazy for You at the Candlelight in like 10 hours. And I loved that. I fell a couple times on stage during that. Hi, Bobby! And I fell on my ass, like coming out of the car, trying to flap my way across. But I loved that. And I'll never forget, I was put into the show by Tammy Mater. We were sitting in the green room at Candlelight, and the director, who I will not name, you can just take a guess, said to me, learn your lyrics. That was my note. I didn't know all the lyrics yet.
10 hours ago, I wasn't even here.
But I loved that experience as an actor, and I absolutely loved. One of the best things was Cats at the Marriott, the first time they did it, directed by Mark Robin, and choreographed by. I just loved being in that show and being in that world and dancing like that. It was great. Was I the best dancer in the show? No. But I sang the High C and I got to play Jenny Anydots. It was just a great show. There have been a lot of shows that I've seen, that I don't like. And do you want to guess what my least favorite show of all time is?
Least favorite show of all time.
Yeah, I have a least favorite show.
Well, it's funny. It's funny that you mentioned Cats because I know a lot of people dislike cats.
Oh, I love cats,
including this person. Unfortunately,
okay. I don't like real cats. I like pretend ones.
Phantom of the Opera.
No, I love Phantom.
I don't know. Then I'm at a loss. Tell me.
The Little Mermaid.
Oh, see, I've never seen it, so I can't have an opinion. I've never even seen the movie.
The movie's good.
Yeah.
That's my least favorite show.
Okay.
The Little Mermaid.
All right.
So and again, like audience, if you want to hire me for The Little Mermaid, perhaps I can get a lobotomy and do it again.
So
but
you've actually done the show
twice. Yeah, I'm done.
I thought you meant like it was just a show that you've seen and are not a fan of. You've actually done it and are.
Well, the productions I did were not. It wasn't about the production. I don't like.
No,
the
I
show.
understand. You just don't like the show.
Yeah. I liked all the actors. That's all fine. I just don't like the show.
Yeah, valid.
So everyone knows that that's not what when they're guessing the show, the actors, because I make them we do like a big reveal and a pizza party. It's really fun.
Yeah.
They all know what shows I will not do, and that is one of them. So you know what I mean? Like they can cross that off the list.
So now this is an interesting question. This is going back to your comment about how you want to know how it makes you feel. So if this show creates that negative feeling in you, how have your productions of Little Mermaid fared as a result?
Well, I want to say that I thought I liked Little Mermaid until I started working on it, and I just couldn't. I just didn't feel it. I mean, I love Beauty and the Beast. I love Disney. I love Lion King. I love all these shows. It just didn't. I just don't like. I don't like the whole. I don't like the love story. I don't like losing the voice. I don't like that whole situation. The legs. I don't like it. I I loved my cast when I did it. I thought it was a really nice production that I did. But I guess the show just doesn't resonate with me. And I've tried. Every show I've done has resonated with me.
Hmm.
And, again, like, the kids and people that were in the show, that they weren't kids. There's one child that was in it, one of my students. I love you guys. It's just not a personal thing. It's just
Sure.
it's just like, I don't like liverwurst. I don't really like, Jello.
And the Little Mermaid.
And I don't, and I don't really like power bars.
Yeah.
So,
No, totally valid. My very first guests here on the podcast were my friends Justin, Brill, and Chen of Worker, and they directed and choreographed.
I love them.
Yeah, me too. And they directed and choreographed Mamma Mia at Music Theater Works, and that happened to be brought up in their podcast interview. And I said, "Yeah, that was a great production. I don't ever have to see Mamma Mia ever again. Like, I just don't love that show. Like, the music is fine. I mean, it's Abbott's fun music, but like as a show, I don't need to see it again." I saw it once.
That's interesting. I saw their production. They did a great job,
Yeah.
and I actually have like a love-hate relationship with Mamma Mia, but I want to direct it. I've choreographed it before. I don't think there are not a lot of shows that I have not worked on in the last 15 years or 20. I mean, I really think I've never, in this, John, I'm going to put this out there for our audience. I've never done Fiddler. I've directed Godspell. I've directed Jesus Christ Superstar twice, which I love. I would give anything to see that Hollywood Bowl show.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Jesus Christ Superstar. I love Godspell. And I directed a few versions of Nonsense, and I was in Nonsense 1, 2, and 3. Yeah. So I've directed those. Sister Mary Leo?
Oh, Sister Mary. Okay, sure, because you do the ballet stuff. Yeah. I was thinking you were, who's the one that sings the...
Robert Ann?
Robert Ann. I thought we think more of a Robert Ann.
Well, I understudied. So listen, the first time I did it at Marriott. Me and Mary Ernster had just had a baby. Me and Mary Ernster were the swings at the Marriott. And I covered, she covered two parts, like Reverend Mother, and another part. I covered Amnesia, Robert Ann, and Leo. And I went on for all of them. And Paula Scrofano was an Amnesia.
Okay.
So I've understudied Paula. And I understudied Alexandra Billings.
Whoa!
In a production of Once Upon a Mattress. I think it was like a kid show, or Princess and the Pea. I've understudied some kind of big names in the theater scene. And my production of Nunset Boulevard at Theater at the Center starred Felicia Fields and Aline Robertson.
Wow.
Two of my favorite people of all time. Aline Robertson, and I'm going to say this because it's really important that I tell you this in this podcast.
Please.
Aline Robertson is I'm a huge fan of really everything about her. But her production, her interpretation of Dolly Levi is the greatest, in my opinion. I was in it with her, and I had a moment of eye contact. This was 1995, my first show at Marriott. And we had a moment of eye contact during the show. She was sitting on a luggage, something
cart.
To push with luggage. Yeah, like a cart.
Yeah.
And I saw her, and she remembered it. She and I have been friends since then. In 1995, she sends me a birthday card every year.
Oh, sweet.
She calls me Miss Missy, and I call her Miss Prissy. And I just adore her. And so I feel like I adopted a lot of things out of these people I watched over the years. Paula, Ellie, John Rieger, all these wonderful actors out there that just really inspired me on the stage,
Yeah. That's how we grow.
So that's
we
what
learn. We take little pieces from all of our experiences and we add them.
Yeah. I had a really good career, and I really, I got to swing a lot. I understudied everybody, and I went on for everybody. I went on for Ava Perón, Maria in West Side Story at Drury Lane. I went on for Meg and Brigadoon at Candlelight. I went on for everybody.
I think everybody should be required to be an understudy or a swing. Swinging is a bit more of a different animal because you have to have multiple roles. But I think everybody should be an understudy, be required to be an understudy in their career, just so they know what it's like.
It's hard because you can never really absorb the character. No. You can only have the character on a certain level.
Yeah.
But the great thing about understudying is it's fresh when you do it. So every experience you're having is real and new.
Yeah.
So that's why I really enjoyed understudying. And actors or people out there, try and do it sometime, commit to it, learn your stuff
Yeah.
before the show opens.
Oh, yeah.
Trust me. But
Happens
I
all the time.
loved it. I loved it.
Yeah.
So
And oftentimes, too, your first time out is like being shot out of a cannon and you kind of don't even remember it because you're just
yeah,
being
it's like your
present
wedding.
right, hitting all the marks. Exactly right.
Yeah,
Exactly
it's like your
right.
wedding day. I mean, when I was doing Evita and I went on one time, people were on the sides. They were like, this way, because like
Shove with love, baby. That's right.
shoved with love. I was like, I had to go up this way for a good night and thank you, and then that way, and then back on for that. It was,
Yeah.
and then I will say this: Jeff Max played Magaldi.
Mm-hmm.
I grabbed his balls.
Oh.
He does not let me live that down. Oh, am I going to get in trouble?
No.
I asked him permission. It was part of the blocking, but I don't think I knew what I was doing, and I was supposed to do something, and I grabbed his balls. So, Jeff, if you're out there in the world, I love you, and I apologize.
And we apologize to your balls.
Balls.
Your balls. Before I forget, where
Yes.
can our listeners learn about the Performer School?
Oh,
all that
okay.
stuff. Where can they find you
The
online?
Performer School, www.theperformerschool.com, 2 S's in a row, a flasterproduction.com, and I have a podcast that is not theater related.
You do?
I do. It's called Pod Candy, Cults, Crimes, and Killers. So that's the other side of my life. This is not a monetary gain situation. I love talking about cults, and especially cults and also true crime. And so me and my friend Dory Goldman, who was an original member of Schoolhouse Rock Live when George created it with Scott, she played Dory, and she's Dory. So she's an original member. So it's me and Dory and a therapist named Dr. John Mayer, not to be confused with the musician. And we talk every other week. We do it. We talk about a cult, crime, or killer, and then me and Dory talk about it for 20 minutes, like as just people that love this stuff.
Yeah.
And then John comes in and sets us straight. So it's really fun. Tells us the psychological, stuff. And so I do that too, and I love that. And then I'm a coach. So I have a website, www.stacey-flaster.com,
Okay.
STACEY-Flaster. And I do private coaching for any age.
Great.
Anything you want to work on. I can tape, I can do music, whatever you want to do, I'm here and I can do it. Just contact me.
Fantastic. I can't believe I didn't know about the podcast till this moment.
Well, you didn't. I haven't been advertising it because, John, really, it's hard for me to hear myself. I'm just being a person. It's not me as an actor.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not performing. So it's it's rough to listen to, but it's also, I'm loving it. I'm passionate about it, and I love doing the research. So I'm the researcher. So I just love talking about cults.
Funny. I'll have to listen to it now. I'll look for it.
Okay.
Give you a listen. Give it
Pod Candy.
a listen, like, and subscribe. As everybody.
Thank you.
You
Thank
bet.
you. Like and subscribe on any of your major podcasts.
That's right. That's right. Same with this one. Well, listen, I really do appreciate you joining me here. It was a lovely conversation, and
Anytime.
We could do a part 2 at some point down the road.
Anytime you want, John.
Thanks. So great to see you.
Anytime.
Thanks for joining us at the Chicago Theater Makers Podcast. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. The Chicago Theater Makers Podcast is a production of Spirit Art LLC, and our podcast theme music is by Paul Langford. If you or someone you know would like to be a guest on the podcast, please drop us a note at our website, ChiTheaterMakersPodcast.com. That's ChiTheater, makers with an S, podcast.com. We hope you enjoyed spending time with us as much as we enjoyed spending it with you, and we'll see you on the board soon.